Okay, guys, so here's your question for the podcast this week. If you could be any of the, say, classic horror movie monsters, who would you pick? And this is including, like, Dracula, Frankenstein's monster, Wolfman, Phantom of the Opera, Invisible Man, which don't count according to these guys, but...
They shouldn't count, but... Okay, since I'm speaking already, I'm gonna say Invisible Man. Because then you can rob things.
The Invisible Man would actually be really good in this month because you have the Invisible Man and then Hollow Man.
And nowadays, you could undo your invisibility by painting yourself with body paint and then putting in colored contacts, that way you have eyes.
It'd be so fucking creepy.
Or you could just be fucking gross, poured on latex hat or whatever.
I was gonna say, it sounds way better than it would look, D-Hard, because like the insides of your nostrils would still be invisible.
I guess I could do
and the inside of your mouth, so like you walk around and they'd just be like really creepy.
Well, first of all,
holes.
if it was me, if I was gonna be the Invisible Man, I would need some invisible underwear, because you know that dogs can still smell you and they will straight bite your junk off.
Oh, it's not a sausage.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, I smell food in the form of a dick.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and say, because I pretty much just already am the Wolfman.
So you'd want to have super strength, but only like for a few minutes per month.
Yeah,
like only
like
whenever the Wolfbane grows.
Yeah, a couple nights a month, and I go out and just rip people to
murder
shreds.
around a little bit.
Yeah, have super strength.
Blow off all your steam for a little bit, and get back to business next day.
Yeah, definitely.
Although you'll probably feel hungover.
I feel like that would just be way more doable than like being Dracula or the creature from the Black Lagoon.
Well, the creature from the Black Lagoon actually gets a surprising amount of action.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think so, but he does. No, I think I would probably have to go with Dracula, just simply because, I don't know, I feel like he'd be the one that would be funnest to be. You could get away with being more.
You can't go out during the day.
Yeah, so?
You'd have a hell of a nightlife, though.
It depends on which mythology, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, any of them except for Twilight, you would die.
Well, actually, he's able to go out in the day during the Bram Stoker version. He just doesn't have a...
You could be a near-dark Dracula. And hang out with Bill Paxton all the time.
Yeah.
Doesn't that feel like it's a movie that should have been made by Rob Zombie?
yeah, a little bit.
Ew.
I actually enjoyed Near Dark, though. I love Lance Henriksen.
I know, but it's just fucking, asshole redneck zombie... Or not zombies, but
Redneck
vampires.
zombies.
Yeah, it was definitely a creative twist on it, but...
I wish it was redneck zombies.
So...
I just feel like you would get way more action as
Tadstool.
Shit on a
Shit on a
toadstool.
Fuck.
A tadstool. Did you say tadpole first?
Tadpole.
Shit on a tadpole. Shit on a
tadstool.
Alright, well, I fucked up.
I guess it just depends on which Dracula I would be. If I had to be the Universal Dracula, I might go with Wolfman also, or maybe the Invisible Man.
And we could just, wolf bro out.
That's true. We could go out on the town and just murder everyone.
Yep.
And no one would know what to do. The only thing that can kill us are silver bullets or silver canes or anything made out of silver, pretty much scooping our eyes out with a silver melon baller. Just pretty much touch us with silver and that's it. But all you have to do is just avoid silver and we'll be fucking fine.
Yeah.
Just murder whoever the fuck. You can just go to movies, just walk in, kill everybody, watch the rest of the movie.
Good reference. So, D. Hart, the Invisible Man, Stephen the Wolfman, and Philip the Wolfman, Dracula.
Yeah. You coming down here with a bunch of Draculas?
Fucking
Dracula?
A goddamn Dracula.
Oh, yeah.
Ernie Hudson.
Have you guys seen that yet?
I've seen Leviathan, yeah.
Alright.
Yet?
So,
it's like 35 years old.
Last time I mentioned it, no one knew what the fuck I was talking about.
I've seen Leviathan.
Yeah.
Which has been a really long time.
Also, fuck Peter Weller.
Yeah. I used to have respect for him for some reason. I don't know why.
Well, he's a bastard.
It's gone.
So, welcome to Motion Picture Meltdown. I'm one of your hosts, Stephen the Roast Rosenberg.
Phil the Kill Collins.
And D-Hart.
And welcome back to another episode from Monster Month of May. We are now in week 2 and have decided to move on from Frankenstein's monster, Philip.
Yeah.
Are you still pissed about the...
I will forever be pissed because there's nothing I can do about it.
So if you
The
had
damage is done, unless I can go back in time and just be like, hey, Mary Shelley, you know what would be a good name for your monster? Any fucking name! You stupid bitch!
we decided it was Danny.
Yeah, Danny the creature. Hi, I'm Danny. Hi, I'm Wolfman. So, yeah.
So we're doing the Wolfman movies.
Yes.
The original 1941 Wolfman, as well as the 2010 remake.
Mm-hmm.
Both done by Universal.
Both good movies, I guess.
Goodish.
Goodish, yeah.
They're both better than the Frankenstein remake, which was just piss on ass.
I will agree with you there. I will agree with that. Let's start with the 1941 Wolfman, which was directed by George Wagner and written by Kurt Siodmak.
Siodmak is how it's pronounced.
Oh.
I looked it up.
Okay. Looked up the pronunciation.
Well, I mean, fucking try to read that.
Yeah.
I googled it, and only one person had the answer.
Claude
in
Rains,
the
of
world.
course, plays John Talbot. Then you've got Colonel Munford, who is played by Ralph Bellamy. Bellamy?
I'm assuming it's Bellamy.
Ralph Bellamy. Ralph Baloney.
Sometimes it seems as though you just discovered English. Mostly with people's names, though.
Well, because people get pissed if you pronounce their names wrong.
Yeah, but that's pretty clearly Bellamy.
Well, my name is very clearly Steven, and you know how many fucking days I hear Stefan, Stefan, Stephanie? No, it's Steven.
Yeah, I know.
Welcome to fucking life.
Names are hard to read, apparently. And Bela Lugosi as Bella, the
Bela.
The
gypsy.
gypsy. Yeah.
Bela Lugosi.
Yep.
And
we
I've
just
heard it
did
pronounced both ways, but I'm just too entrenched now. I have to pronounce it Bella from now on.
Bela.
Bela.
Bela. Very nice.
Very nice. Bela Lugosi.
Now no one gives two
I'm not
fucks for
Italian.
Bela.
Yeah, exactly.
And we actually just talked about Bela Lugosi a little bit last podcast.
Yeah,
because,
it's always
Karloff.
Bela Lugosi time.
Yeah.
But he has a very pissy part in this movie.
Yeah.
He just-
And Boris Karloff can eat his shit.
Yeah, I'm
Boris
assuming
Karloff
that he
can eat my
can.
Starting with the first Wolfman, Philip, you've already told me you've got like 100 things to bitch about. With
Oh
this
yeah,
movie.
I have a fucking list.
But let's start with the plot of this one, and Phil, why don't you go ahead and go on about that?
Okay, so Lon Chaney's character, Larry Talbot, or Lawrence as they call him in the remake.
Larry!
They call him fucking Larry the whole movie. Lon Chaney comes back to his, castle where his dad lives because his brother has just been killed, or he died, actually. I don't remember how he died, actually.
It doesn't say in the original.
I didn't think it...
He gets murdered by a werewolf in the remake, but in the
Right.
original, it just says he's dead.
Yep. He died, so he came back from America. First thing to bitch about, he somehow, he has lived in America for I don't know how many years, but not his entire adult life, and is a straight up American. He used to live in wherever the fuck this is, the middle of Blackmoor, England, or wherever the hell
Yeah, I'm
this
not
is supposed
sure
to
where
happen.
this takes place, but
The point is, it's not the United States, and somehow he's just a straight up red blooded American.
No, this is the old country.
just the old country.
No one ever says where the old country is. It's the old country.
It's the country before the current country. Yeah. So he comes back home because his brother dies, and he goes right to work fixing his father's telescope because that's apparently one of the things he knows how to do.
Priority number one when your
Priority
brother
number
dies.
one, you get home, you act like it's not that big a deal that your brother's dead, and you just are like, "Hey, Dad, what's up?" It's really very flimsy. It's so fucking flimsy and shitty. I mean, just generally, all the motivations in this movie are extremely how can we make it seem like that's why he would do that? Okay, well, we'll just do that. Yeah, that's fine. The love interest. So he's looking through this telescope, which, nitpicking, it's really poor. The telescope view is just a camera at street view in the town.
Right.
So it's no. Do you know nothing about telescopes or about anything? Optics in general.
So maybe his dad is like a peeper. That's the only thing he uses the telescope for looking at people in town.
Well, I feel like
in their bedrooms.
I feel like they both. Yeah, I was just saying. I feel like they're both peepers because after that point, he goes down and meets Gwen,
he straight up spies on her for who the fuck knows how long while she's just chilling in her bedroom. It's
Right.
like, oh, hey, what's up?
So he's definitely a peeper.
Yeah, he's 100% peeping Tom. And he goes there and just straight lies about spying on her, but just pretends like he's psychic because he knows things about her.
Right.
He's like, hey, you know those half moon earrings you have up on your bed in your bedroom on your nightstand? It's like, you're a fucking creep.
Yeah.
So goddamn murdery, and she just, oh well, it doesn't matter that he was spying on me through his fucking telescope. That's perfectly acceptable.
Well, he gets a little bit rapey because...
There, a little bit. And she was like, how about these earrings? He just does not even fucking look at them. He just looks straight at her and he's like, nope, those won't do.
Yeah.
Murdery.
And then he's like, I'll be here at 8. No. We'll go on a date tonight. No.
Well, see you at 8. Just, we're going on a date and there's nothing you can do about it because you're a woman and this is the 1940s.
It's just Stacy from Wayne's World.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, yeah, we're going on this date. So he takes her on a date. She brings along, her friend so that he won't be weird and try to murder her.
Jenny was her name, I think, right?
Yeah, Jenny was a friend of mine. That was a song that she wrote about. Yeah.
Okay.
So anyways, she gets murdered in the woods by Bela Lugosi.
You mean a dog?
Yeah, I do mean a dog. A straight up... It's just a straight up dog. Like, it's not even a big dog. And they're like, oh, it's a wolf. It's like, no. It's like a small Labrador.
Yeah.
It's like a child Labrador. So, he whoops the ass of this quote-unquote werewolf that just killed the,
Jenny chick.
the uninteresting side character person. And he kills the werewolf with his cane that he just so happened to buy at the antique shop.
Right.
Which is silver-handled.
Which you don't really know how they got that cane either. It's just a creepy silver cane with a pentagram carved
it was
into
just
it.
in there. It just happened to come upon it, which is not exactly a special cane by any means. It just happens to be made of silver, and it also happens to have a werewolf on it
and a pentagram carved into it.
Well, I mean that's a symbol of the werewolf.
Right.
Speaking of which,
We're
that
gonna
fucking
get one of those.
That's what I'm
yeah,
saying.
no kidding, and an antique shop apparently.
It's like
Go to
not
Joe
even
Lay.
a wolf cane. It's a straight up werewolf cane.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's extremely convenient, like everything that happens in this movie. It's like, oh, I'm shopping, I guess I'll shop for a cane since you don't have any earrings I like.
Why do you need a fucking cane?
He just wanted to be there. It was just a pretext so that he could hit on her. But the point is, he wasn't even shopping for anything. Like, literally,
he was shopping for something, all right.
He was not even looking at the merchandise at all.
He wants a cane so people can tell that he's a pimp from a distance.
It's like, oh, that must be a pimp. How can you tell? He's got a cane.
Yeah.
And it's got apparently some sort of silver head on top of it. So anyway...
And he has no physical reason for a cane.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There's no need.
Cane with no physical reason.
You didn't need one in the 1940s. Everyone had a cane. Yeah. So he gets injured battling this dog, and now he's a werewolf. And the scar, the wound healed up in a single night, which is totally different than the later movie, which makes more sense, once again. The wound heals up instantly, and then where the wound would have been is an extremely poorly rendered pentagram. It was obviously just drawn onto him right before that.
Well,
it looks so bad.
Even before that, though, they're like, show me the wound, and he just opens his shirt, and the camera is from the side.
You can't see
anything.
It's like, so does he have a wound?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
You have no idea, like, what he's trying to portray there because
he
can't see it. Like,
you didn't want him to like open his shirt and then, hey, look at this wound, and then just turn slightly to the side. They didn't have enough cameras. They couldn't shoot. They didn't have enough money to shoot it. I'm just going to assume that was a budget situation, which is probably why the movie had to be so convenient, being only an hour long.
Right.
I would assume that he did have a wound at that point, or else they would have shown the thing.
Well, no, he didn't have a wound.
Yeah, they said it was all healed up.
They just didn't believe him.
Right.
They were like, "Oh, you have no wound," but I think he can only see the pentagram, maybe. Because he could see it. He could see it in the palms of his next victim, supposedly. I wrote down the thing. This is the thing I thought was one of the dumber things about the movie was that everyone in this fucking town is just completely out of their mind obsessed with werewolves. Everyone. It's so ridiculous. Like, literally 15 times before you even see a wolf or anything magical even happens, you hear everyone in the movie say, even a man who is pure in heart and says his prayers by night may become a wolf when the wolfbane blooms and the autumn moon is bright. And they say it like 100 fucking times.
Well, when he goes into that tavern or whatever, Or maybe that was a remake.
That was in the remake.
Okay, I was going to say, there was the tavern where they had the American Werewolf in London people just sitting around.
Yeah, it was literally them. But that was not even availed. Like, they did not even try to pretend that wasn't the same thing. They're like,
probably the same pub with the same people in it.
Well,
it's slightly older.
Like you said, Philip, everybody just happens to be completely obsessed in this movie.
Everyone is obsessed with werewolves.
And they're super cunty, too.
That was so
like,
mean.
when the woman goes into the antique shop, and she's blaming Gwen for Jenny's death.
Right.
And
She's like her grandmother or some shit.
I want to tell her this or whatever. And Lon Chaney Jr. walks in and he's like, tell me. And she just runs out the door and she's like, there was murder in his eyes. It's like...
Well, he's a murder eye guy. That's the kind of eyes he's got.
He does have very murdery eyes, though. To her defense, he is murdery as fuck in this movie. Well, it might just be that Lon Chaney Jr. is a murdery fuck.
I know, but I don't think I really thought his eyes were that murdery.
Well, I mean, he was asking perfectly legitimate questions, and he wasn't actually making the murder face like he was earlier.
No, he was just basically...
Yeah, I mean, just because this one time he wasn't displaying murder eyes doesn't mean he doesn't have them.
It's true, and she might also, because she's lived in the town so long, she might be able to see the murder eyes better than other people.
Well, it sounds like he needs
murder
to go...
eyes and murder face.
It sounds like he needs to go to Joffe LASIK.
And get his murder eyes replaced, or fixed, or lasered, or whatever.
By
enhanced.
My
Laser.
father, Stephen Joffe.
Yeah, my father, Stephen Joffe, will not be very pleased with your murder eyes. So, he's trying to, like, explain away the fact that he's, been attacked by this werewolf, and then suddenly it's not a werewolf, it's just Bela Lugosi lying dead in the woods next to the body of this other chick. So they're trying to sort out who murdered who and how they end up getting killed. And the fucking psychiatrist says that the fact that his coat was ripped and bloody could be all in his imagination. It's like, no, we literally have the coat. And he's like, well, that can sometimes happen. And it's like, are you fucking retarded? Are you even listening?
You fucking with me?
Are you fucking serious right now?
Psychiatry's changed a bit.
Because if you're very shocked, if you go into shock because of something, your clothes can immediately become ripped and bloody even though there's no wounds.
Yeah.
Suddenly makes no fucking sense.
So dumb. And did you guys notice, like, the cane prop just looked the shittiest?
Dude, everything looked shitty. The cane at least looked like a real cane. The scar, and whenever they projected the pentagram onto the hand, I've never seen a pentagram that looked like that. It just looked like a normal star with a circle around it.
Right.
Pentagrams are supposed to have the lines that go through, or at least all the ones I've ever seen.
Well, not
They make it look way cooler.
It was probably too devilly to get past the censors at the time.
There's no censors. This is 1941. There are no rules. You can
Great adjective, by the way. Devilly.
Devilly. Similarly to a devilly egg.
Yep.
And that's the movie.
There's not much of transformation scene. Like,
No, I mean,
It's just a fade.
what's funny about that...
well, the transformation out more so than the transformation in. Transformation in is like him wearing pants and then pulling up his pant legs and there's hair on his leg.
The transformation scene, initially, that first one you see where his legs are just hairy.
And his arms.
His legs just progressively get hairier and hairier, and like, he just holds perfectly still, and then they just fade in those shots of him being hairier and hairier and hairier.
Right.
Apparently, in order to keep, like, the continuity, all the transformation scenes were shot in a single day, and he wasn't allowed to move at all. He just sat there while they glued more yak hair to his legs.
Is that what they used?
Literally, yak hair.
Great.
Oh man, I bet he smelled great.
His arms, apparently, like, whenever they were trying to, like, transform his arms in one of the scenes, or in, like, one of the other, I can't remember if they said it was one of the other movies where he was Wolfman, because he's Wolfman in, like, 4 other movies. No shit. Like, Wolfman meets Frankenstein, and Wolfman jerks off a yak, and...
So
all
he
the other
jerks off the yak and then steals
and then
his
he
hair.
glues his hair to his legs.
Okay.
So, apparently, at one point, and this is just Lon Chaney exaggerating probably, but he said that they drove finishing nails into his arms so that he couldn't move while they were doing the makeup, because the continuity, so that it would be perfect.
They
Bullshit.
drilled him?
No, they put not like stabbing them into him, but they like surrounded him with nails so that if he moved, it would be stabbed, like to stop him from being moved. But I mean, that's 10 hours just sitting in a chair or something while they film your arms, and you're just, well, I don't get to eat, I don't get to take a shit.
Yeah, well, they sit there. You can't move. You're sitting
I'm gonna
next
glue
to a
some
bald
yak
yak.
here too. Yeah, exactly. And meanwhile, the transformation scenes are fucking shitty as hell. They look so bad.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
really?
it just goes to
It's
show
like-
you the technology they had to work with at the time.
Yeah, I think we're
I could
judging
easily-
it a little too hard.
I could
though.
make my own transformation scene now that is a million times better.
This is
But I have access to all this technology
right. I
that
was
they
gonna
clearly
say
did not have.
we're hitting it a little bit hard because this was 1941. I mean, it's literally only 10 years after Frankenstein came out.
Right.
So-
I'm not saying that it should have been good. I'm just saying that they acted like, whenever I was reading about it, they acted like it was gonna, like, they made him, like, drilled into him so it'd be absolutely perfect, and it's like, not that good. And definitely not perfect. He moves around a bunch. You
Yeah.
can tell.
Yeah.
It's just not that good.
It's not as good as Frankenstein,
No.
like the first Frankenstein movie. Definitely not.
But there wasn't any tricky shots like that. They didn't have to have Frankenstein transform into something. Like, that's a
Right.
hard thing to
Yeah.
accomplish.
Right.
Technically, this is a much harder movie to make.
I agree.
Right. And also, all the transformation scenes that took place in the woods, where they had all that fog and shit, and the dry ice
Right.
fog that's going all over the place, you could tell so easily in those scenes, because obviously the dry ice is going to be in the same spot.
Yeah, you can't control that.
Yeah, there's
You're
nothing you can do about that. So it's so plain and obvious whenever it transformed from a different piece, because everything in view is transforming along with it.
So, I mean, even like the phase from one phase to another, that could have been better if they had like some simple kind of like layering technology. Like
Yeah.
if they had some kind of masking where they could put the fog in later.
Right.
That way it would be over top of the fades.
Right.
But, you know, it just doesn't fucking exist.
Well-
or didn't exist at the time.
My argument is like, grow a fucking brain and just don't have fog on that one particular part where
Well,
he's
you have to have
transforming.
the fog, man.
No,
It
you
makes
don't.
it scary, yeah. Fog is
It's not
creepy.
scary anyway. It looks terrible.
Fog is always...
I'm being really critical of it.
Yeah,
It,
you are.
it really,
You are
it
being
really
way
is,
too
it
critical.
really is a good. It's a pretty good movie and a good attempt for the time, but obviously the transformations. I've just been spoiled by too many awesome transformation scenes.
And only an
too
hour
many.
long.
Yeah, and only an hour long, which is why, like I said earlier, there's so many.
Perfect.
Exactly. There's so many things that just are completely convenient. Like, oh, I just happened to murder my way into this fucking antique shop to get this cane that I'm going to need later to murder someone, and then someone will later murder me with.
Very coincidental.
Yeah, it's a lot of coincidental stuff happens.
I thought it was bullshit in the woods. Well, first of all, that whole point of them strapping him down and stuff in the castle and putting belts and shit around his arms and body and everything and just strapping him to the chair and locking all the doors and shit, no point to that entire part whatsoever, because it doesn't even show him break out of that shit. It just
No.
shows him in the woods in the next scene, and you're just like...
he escaped somehow, easily apparently.
Yeah.
I wonder if that got thrown out.
I have no
I
idea.
mean, because...
Well, I mean, the
why would they
movie's
do that
already an
at all?
hour and
I
6
mean-
minutes long. The crowds are going to just stand up and walk out. So ridiculous.
But that's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
they build up the scene before with his dad strapping him in.
Yeah, and you think he's going to, like, muscle his way out and shit, and it's just like,
And
no,
that could have been good because he's already not moving, which is perfect for his transformation.
Exactly.
I've seen that a lot of these have like directors that would just occasionally throw out pages of the script.
See ya.
It's like, all right, this is a little redundant. Well, let's just get rid of it. I think that's probably what happened to that.
This
Well-
adds 2 minutes onto our hour and 7 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what it would have had to have happened, because they set it up for forever. It was like a
Right.
4-minute long scene.
Well, and it included that part where his dad was like, "I'm gonna be here for you, son. I'm gonna help you
I'm
through
going to make
this."
sure you get through this. And by the way, see you later.
Yeah, he's like, "I gotta go, son." He's like, "But Dad, I need you here with me." He's like, "No, I got other shit I gotta do. I'll just leave you strapped to this chair. Bye."
Cats in the cradle in the silver spoon.
Yeah, exactly. Just one more thing that I wanted to bitch about, as far as, like, I guess this would be considered a special effect, kind of. Whenever they make plaster casts of the wolf tracks, because they're trying to catch this thing,
Right,
it's been
right.
killing people, whatever. They make a plaster cast of its track, and it's fucking huge. It's like the size of my head. It would have to be like the largest bear possible. Clearly not a wolf at all.
His feet were so fucking huge.
They were ridiculous because they were literally just rubber boots that they glued yak hair onto.
Question: why does he turn into a wolf man, and Bela turns into wolf?
That was what we were actually talking about earlier, because Steven was like, man, I wish they would have stayed more with the actual wolf man in the remake, because that would, it just gets kind of cheesy when it's just straight up wolves attacking people.
like the
Yeah.
I mean, like say like Monster Squad Wolfman up against like American Werewolf in Paris werewolves.
Paris? Why did you mention Paris?
Well, because they're really awful and they CGI like running and that really shitty.
It's like I could only make it like 10 minutes in that movie.
Yeah,
I turned it off.
It's fucking awful.
It's really shitty.
No, it really goes beyond that. It's like if American Pie tried to remake like the creators of American Pie, Schindler's List. They take a movie that's super serious and super awesome and just classic and great, and then they just take a huge douchebag shit on it.
Or a giant double-sided jelly dong and just sodomize the fucking shit out of that.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but going back to the woods part, man, like, when he gets his fucking foot caught in that bear trap, why doesn't he just reach down and fucking unset the bear trap?
Because he's too much of a wolfman.
He's too wolfy in his brain.
I guess.
But anyway, my theory was that the wolfman situation comes along whenever you aren't a werewolf long enough. Like, if you go a few years, or like you eventually evolve to the point where you can become like a straight up wolf, and then you kill people. That was my explanation. I don't really... That's made up.
just made that up. Just like, fuck it. Hey, that sounds good, so
it's
whatever.
Better than Bela being just a dog for no reason.
Well, after you've been a wolf long enough, you evolve into just a regular dog.
Yeah. And then after you're a dog long enough, you just evolve into a rhinoceros.
Well, I think
it's for all the fucking sense it makes.
I think it would go from dog to maybe like a big sized cat, and then from a big sized cat to a regular house cat,
like a lynx or something.
Yeah, not too big. It has to be smaller than a dog, but bigger than a regular cat.
Yeah, like a lynx or an ocelot.
See, you get the idea.
Exactly. So like a very wild, slightly bigger than a normal cat, and then a normal cat, and then a mouse, and then it's.
Well, I think in between you'd have to put a rat.
Okay.
Were-rat, and then
So this has just gone to the whole, like, Fright Night vampires turn into the creatures of the night thing.
Yeah, exactly. They can turn into whatever the fuck they feel like.
Yeah.
So, the love interest in the movie.
If that's what you can call it, it's like he's just crazy.
Here's how it goes. No. It's definitely a love interest because she definitely reciprocates out of fucking nowhere.
Yeah.
He's stalking her through a telescope, goes to her place of work and lies and says he's psychic, and tells her all this creepy shit that he knows about her, doesn't tell her why, still agrees to go on a date, well, kind of agrees, he shows up and she's out there.
Yeah.
So, goes on this date, even though she's engaged. The guy that she's engaged to, I can't remember if he doesn't even get killed. They just get into a fight at the gypsy fair, and then now they're broken up.
Yep. 2
seconds later, he's like, well, I gotta get out of town, because I just figured out I'm a werewolf, and I'm probably gonna kill you, baby. And then and she's like, no, I'm gonna go with you, I'm in love, blah, blah, blah. It's like, what? You've known him for literally a day.
Okay, but in that day, he's managed to completely fuck up her life.
Yeah.
So...
Well, I mean, it wasn't even his fault. Like, they don't show the fight between her and her fiancé. They don't tell you what it was about. They just, we got into a quarrel. Okay, well, I'll take you home. That's it. The fiancé's gone.
Well, you know what that was? That was... Throw that page away.
That's exactly what happened. It was so... I was so confused. I was like, what? She's fucking engaged. What happened? She's gonna run off with, Lon Chaney so he can go off to the Americas and kill a bunch of people?
Bitches, man.
They're crazy.
The budget for this movie was $180,000.
Seems like kind of a lot.
It does, kind of, for that time, but I will say, much like the Frankenstein original, I do like the setting of this movie a lot. It looks really good.
Yeah, I mean, aside from the obviously unattainable transformation effects that they tried to do, everything is pretty darn good, I think. Except for the poorly drawn on pentagrams.
Yeah.
Those were very shitty. Those could have been done so fucking much better, and there's no goddamn excuse for not having... That one on his chest was supposed to be a scar, and it was straight up a ballpoint pen drawing. Yeah. You could tell. It had like lines where they fucked up and then just didn't erase it.
I was referring more to like the gypsy fair, the woods, the setting of the movie itself.
I'm pretty sure most of that $180,000 went directly to dry ice because they had like 200 million pounds of dry. There was so much fog in this movie; it was ridiculous.
Yeah,
which obviously they saved on in the remake. They just have all that be CG.
I'm not gonna lie though. When he started looking out of the telescope before it showed the fucking town, which is inexplainable, but I was just kind of half expecting, like, one of those shitty, like, moons that's held by a string. You know what I mean? It just kind of moves.
It's like, oh, look at the moon, baby. It's beautiful. This guy, I know that he probably wasn't told to have any kind of an accent, but he was straight up Mayberry.
He had to have the quote unquote New York accent of the 40s.
Right. Well, he only called his dad sir.
Mm-hmm.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Well, he's a knight.
I don't know when this was supposed to take place, though. It doesn't really give you any kind of time frame, does it? I don't remember any kind of time frame.
1890.
See, that doesn't make sense to me because his, like you kind of said, his accent and style, the style he's in, his wear, it didn't remind me of like 1800s. And
it's late 1800s. The style was not terribly far-fetched. It's a simple fact that he's not from the United States.
Right.
He's from this place where everyone has their own certain mannerisms, and then he's got his own fucking set.
But what I'm saying is he was dressed way more 1940s.
Yeah, and he was also dressed way more, my pants are literally touching my nipples.
Right.
Did you notice those fucking pants?
Yeah.
And I mean, I feel that those pants were exaggerated, even for their standards. They were seriously...
No, he looked like a 1940s mobster. That's what he looked like.
He put his arms... he literally did. He put pretty much his whole arms in his pockets. It was ridiculous.
He unzips his fly, and you see the pentagram that's on his chest.
Pretty much. Speaking of his costume, I just wanted to say one more thing, and then we can probably move on to the sequel or the remake. The first transformation scene happens when he's in his room alone. So he's looking at his face. He's like taking off all his clothes to see if he's got fur on him. He's like, "Oh God, am I going to turn into the werewolf?" And then he's wearing his wife beater and his slacks or whatever, and he's like pulling his slacks up so they can see if his feet, like he takes his shoes off and everything. And then the next scene, he's wearing an all red jumpsuit, pretty much. It's like, where the fuck did those clothes come from? He never wore them while he was not a werewolf, and he always had them on when he was.
Don't know, man.
Those are the devil's clothes.
It's way devilly, man.
He literally had on a long sleeve. Like, it doesn't make... It makes no... It's like, well, we don't have enough yak hair to cover his arms. Are you kidding me?
Everybody's got this shitty 1930s accent, too, by the way.
Well, to be fair, we don't know what they sounded like back then because
we're not there.
It still just reminds me of that episode of Archer where he's like, hey, the 1930s, they want their lingo in the shitty airplane back. Also, Hitler's killing Jews today.
So absurd. So, overall, a good movie for 1941, but just truly, as far as I'm concerned, it's like, when you make a werewolf movie, there has to be a ball-ass transformation scene. You have to give all your money to that. Mm-hmm. And there was no way they were going to accomplish that in this movie, and that's one of the reasons why I was just kind of...
I kind of forgive it because it was really the first major werewolf movie ever made.
It definitely was. And I'm not like holding it against it. I'm just saying like that is so obviously dated and it's just awful.
Right.
Like and also the fucking red jumpsuit. I cannot get over this.
Was the version you watched in color?
Yeah.
Oh, the version I watched was black and white.
Oh, they must have colorized it.
Oh, maybe.
Well,
I didn't even...
was doing a bunch of that back in the day.
Who was?
Ted Turner. He was going back and recolorizing a lot of the...
Yeah, I can't remember... there was a colorized version of Casablanca that was really...
poor.
Really controversial. And poor.
Yeah. I remember that coming on TV. No, but yeah, I watched the black and white version of it. I've been watching the HD versions of the classic movies just because I want to see...
I can't believe I got a colorized version and didn't even think about that fact. Yeah. That's fucked up.
So let's move on to The Wolfman from 2010, which is directed by Joe Johnston, who also does Jurassic Park 3, as well as Captain America. It stars Benicio del Toro. You know him from movies such as Snatch, Sin City,
The Usual
Suspects, Traffic, Fear and Loathing, Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Also,
he's a really interesting looking, and his acting is really...
He's a good actor.
I love his
For
acting.
sure, he's a good actor.
I mean, he's not like the greatest actor ever, but he just has like an interesting quality about him that I just find...
he's very solid. He's not going to make your movie any worse, but he can make it better.
Yeah, definitely.
Anthony Hopkins, who is an amazing actor.
Phoned this one in for sure.
Yeah, I was definitely kind of disappointed in his acting job in this because I felt like he kind of Gary Busey'd his way through it. Like I felt like he wasn't really into it.
I feel like I felt that way about many of his most recent roles.
Well, he's old as fuck, man. Like
Well, stop fucking pretending you can do shit.
The only role like recently that I've just thought he's
Thor?
just been amazing in is Odin in Thor. Yeah.
Well, but I mean, if you're Odin, you gotta give it hell.
Right.
I mean, you are the king of everything.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, his most famous role is being Hannibal Lecter in the Thomas Harris Hannibal movies.
Which he was fucking
I'm not down
spectacular.
Oh, he's brilliant, yeah.
I'm not down with him as Odin because he still has eyes.
Well, he's missing one eye.
Well, Odin's not supposed to have any eyes.
Well.
Ever. I mean, it would kind of ruin the acting, though.
And how about this one?
I suppose.
How about this one having Hugo Weaving in it as a pretty much like a good guy?
Yeah.
Like, not even like an anti-hero. I mean, he was just a straight-up good guy in this. Like, he was a inspector that...
Hugo Weaving can be a good guy.
Well, he's... Usually when he is a good guy, he still has, like, kind of maniacal...
Tendencies,
yeah. Like V.
Do you mean like V?
Vendetta.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do mean like V. But even Elrond, he's a good guy, but he just seems like a sneaky fuck in it.
You got straight off the Matrix train and got directly onto Lord of the Rings, and you're like, he's evil, he's the devil,
No,
and he has a very snidely, like...
That's what I mean.
He has he has a super serious looking face, and he just looks so goddamn serious about fucking everything.
I don't mean that he's a bad...
But he's definitely not a bad guy.
I don't mean that he's a bad guy, but he's still kind of a heartless bastard in it. Like, he's very stern, and he doesn't give a shit about anybody but
he's
himself.
Just dad.
Yeah, he is dad.
He's very dad, which, of course he's dad. He's got a daughter in that movie.
Right.
But, yeah, he's just a dead-up good guy in this movie.
Yeah,
and as he is in many other roles.
And if you guys haven't seen Cloud Atlas yet, you should check that out, because he plays, like, many, many roles in that.
Right.
And
I haven't seen that. Was that...
Oh,
I saw you on Facebook there.
It's excellent. He plays 6 or 7 different roles in that movie that he plays.
Yeah, I know the gimmick. Tell me what... I'll come back whenever they come up with a 70-minute version of it.
Yeah, it's a long movie.
How long is it?
It's like 2.5 hours long. But
barely longer than this movie.
Yeah, but he plays like 7 different roles in it because there's like 7 different parts of time.
Right,
and he is a bad guy in every single one of them except one where he's like the good guy.
Huh?
Yeah, it's fucking weird. And it's kind of opposite for Tom Hanks. And Tom Hanks is like the good guy in all of them, except for one where he's the bad guy. So it's an interesting movie. You guys should check it out if you haven't seen it yet. Emily Blunt is in this also. You would know her as John Krasinski's wife. But she was in Looper.
That's what I remember seeing her. I was like, what have I seen her in very recently?
She's getting ready to come out with Edge of Tomorrow with Tom Cruise, which looks pretty interesting as well. It's another Tom Cruise sci-fi movie, Heart, but it looks way better than Oblivion.
Oblivion could have been decent if they would have cut like an hour out of it. I mean, I'm not even joking about this being like a 70-minute movie. It is just so fucking slow.
Wait, which one?
Oblivion.
Oh, yeah.
It's so fucking slow for, I don't know, like the first hour. I mean, you could literally condense the first hour down to like maybe half an hour, and you have a pretty decent movie. And
stop telling us what's going to happen, and then showing us what's going to happen,
and then have it happen after that.
just do it. All right, so
you won't be ready for it, Stephen. You won't be ready.
Apparently not. 2010 Wolfman gives you a lot more of the backstory, much like Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Except there was no book. I don't know whether there was a book of the Wolfman.
No, it was the original screenplay was written by the guy we couldn't pronounce his name. Kurt Siodmak.
I mean, there are lots of werewolf stories.
Yeah, obviously there's werewolf lore.
None of these movies are from.
Yeah, he wrote the screenplay, and that's what this whole story comes from. Mm-hmm. Which tells me that which is fine with me, and I'm glad they decided to add detail to it because. Even though it didn't need to be 2.5 hours long, there were some scenes that they added in and some things they added in I don't really agree with.
Right.
But overall, they at least the pretense for people going and doing the things that they're doing isn't so obviously transparent. They're just let's keep the movie going, guys. Right. Let's keep the movie going.
Well, and not only that, but there's obviously you can definitely tell that the 1941 screenplay wasn't. I mean, it was including all the shit that's in this movie, and that the writer for this movie totally
took liberties. He took liberties.
Yeah, he totally enhanced that probably really boring screenplay from the 40s.
Right. The movie, I think the 40s movie was more about telling a story about a wolfman, like just straight up. This is a story about a wolfman. We're going to see a wolfman.
Singular wolfman.
He's gonna turn into stuff. We're going to see it.
Well,
it's going to be. You're not going to believe it. There's going to be yak hair as far as the eye can see. It's going to be spectacular, and probably people thought it was spectacular. I mean, the people from I forgot to bring this up, but they're watching it in Sandlot whenever they break into the theater. Whenever Hercules is chasing them.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And that was a really cool tie-in there. They how much more terrifying would that have been if you were in the theater and a fucking giant dog just rips its way through the screen? Yeah. It's like, holy fucking shit, get the fuck... And no one even seems that scared. They were just like, whoa, a dog!
Right.
It's like, no, a fucking huge dog that just came out of a wolf screen.
That is also now dead, right, Phil?
Super dead.
The deadest.
Yeah.
Okay, so... This one goes...
to Descendants.
This one shows Benicio del Toro. He's basically the...
Instead of being a
Lawrence.
Undisclosed American guy who has just various talents that involve fixing telescopes,
right.
He's an actor, a Shakespearean actor that does these plays, and that's his main bag.
And the funny thing is you brought up with the old one how Talbot comes back to the old country, wherever that may fucking be, and he is just completely American. Well, Del Toro is obviously not American. I'm not sure what his nationality is, but he is not. He's very
probably American.
No, I'm saying his
He lives in the United States, but his parents aren't from the United States. He has an accent.
Yeah, his nationality is definitely not American.
He's from Puerto Rico.
So rather you've got this Puerto Rican that's at least a bit foreign coming back to the old country, but then you have Anthony Hopkins who's just completely fucking different nationality than Benicio del Toro.
Yeah, they don't look alike at all,
or sound alike, there's.
Though they did cast somebody really awesome for him as a kid. That should have looked like Benicio del Toro.
Yeah.
The differences in the plot. We explained the plot already of regular Wolfman. Now we're going to get to the Wolfman 2010, which let's all just name the same fucking movies, the same fucking shit every single time.
Well, if it's a remake, I mean,
there's a space in between the old one.
Yeah,
this
the
one's
old one
a conjunction word.
The Wolf Man.
The Wolf Man. The Wolf, man.
This one is the Wolfman.
Okay, or the Wolf Mans is how it should have been,
Mans.
because there's two wolves in this one.
Wolves.
So rather than returning to the old country because his brother just died of undisclosed reasons, his brother has gone missing, and his brother's wife, who is the love interest from the original, is now, he was engaged to, married, or was she married?
Engaged.
They were engaged.
Married, yeah.
They were engaged. He was engaged to his, she was engaged to his brother.
Right.
So she comes and begs him, says, come back to the old country, find your brother, please, don't be a worthless fuck. So he does, and on his way there, conveniently comes into the possession of the silver monster cane, which is a lot better looking, and has the added benefit of a hidden dagger,
yep.
Which is kind of cool. And also a way better prop.
Still very coincidental that he gets it, though.
Well, it's less of a, I got this completely by accident, and more of a, I am an old man on a train that knows more shit than I should, like there always is in movies. There's always that convenient character that just happens to know the future or knows that, watch out for God, he's gonna get you, or whatever.
God is watching you.
Yeah, exactly. Basically that. And so tries to give him the cane and then just leaves it for him. It's like, take this fucking cane, you're taking it.
Right.
So that's one of the differences. Another one of the differences
but still
is
extremely convenient.
Extremely convenient. The dad is actually an important character in this one because turns out he's a werewolf.
Well, he's the manipulator behind all of it. He's the one that killed his own son.
What happened was, or at least from my understanding, is that he became a werewolf, manages to accidentally kill his wife whenever Benicio del Toro is a little kid, and then basically sends him to an insane asylum because he won't pretend that he didn't catch her eating his mom. Whoops, I guess I should go to the fucking insane asylum. So he thinks that he saw his mom
kill herself
after she had killed herself with a razor. Because that's what the people at the insane asylum drilled into his head until he was like, okay, fine, that's what happened.
Right.
Well, he was hungry for a little Puerto Rican.
God damn it. Oh, shit.
Party hard.
Wah, wah, wah.
But one more of an elaborate plot.
He's way more of an interesting character. It's not only is he's not just some guy that happened to move away and then now he's moved back and now he's a werewolf. He
had a reason.
He has a tortured past. He went to an insane asylum and was forced to believe something that he saw he didn't actually see. Mm-hmm. So that makes him kind of a fucked up in his head kind of guy. And then of course but his dad from that point on wasn't killing anybody because he would have his Simsalabim guy, lock him up every single day.
Simsalabim.
I can't remember his name. Like, I was trying to look it up earlier, and I was like, Sing. I was like, well, anyways, so of undisclosed nationality. I'm pretty sure he wears a turban in the movie.
He does.
So he locks him up every month so that he doesn't kill anybody, but he just fucks up and accidentally lets him out, or accidentally doesn't lock him out or lock him up, and he escapes, kills his son, but doesn't admit to it at all. Mm-hmm. Who's mauled hilariously badly, like the gross corpse whenever he unveils. One of my favorite parts of the movie.
One good thing about that is, though, your actors are very strong in this movie, and that it brings out, like you said, Benicio del Toro's character has a tortured past. Because he's such a good actor, he's able to portray that on film.
Right, you can tell that he's like a miserable... Like, even whenever he's on stage, in the very, very, very beginning of the movie, mm-hmm. being Hamlet or whoever, he is clearly just a tortured dude.
Yeah. I really didn't mind the movie for its acting. In fact, I thought the acting was pretty...
Overall good, and...
yeah, it was good.
Anthony Hopkins wasn't in it all that much anyway, like, as far as...
Well, and it wasn't that he was bad, he was just felt like he was checked out a little bit. Like, maybe...
Wasn't his best work.
No. And Emily Blunt was good, as Gwen. She was decent.
But that's not, like, these aren't the things that kind of made the movie not that good for me. Like, the thing that I didn't like was, as we were talking about earlier, the two Wolfmans.
Yeah, that was...
They could have made it work, but it just seemed way too... Oh, I'm a Wolfman too.
It seemed a little gimmicky because
it seemed a little teen wolf.
Fucking wolf battle.
Well, and when you have Rick Baker at your disposal, use him. American Werewolf in London, number one, is my favorite werewolf movie.
It's just unmatched.
Yeah, it's
like there's
top 5 horror movies.
There's no comparing it to any of the other ones because it's better in every aspect.
Right. It's the perfect blend of horror and comedy. Number one, and number two, the special practical effects are fucking unmatched, and it has the best transformation werewolf scene in any movie ever made, in my opinion.
Definitely.
Now, with that being said...
there's some other good ones, but nothing really comes that close.
Not even a... Like, no.
You were going to say a pew.
Yeah, like... nothing comes even close to it. Now, with that being said, Rick Baker did all the special effects for that. Now, with that being said, Rick Baker also did special effects for this movie. Don't mask all those awesome practical effects.
I promise you he did that corpse effect because it looked fucking spectacular.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm
pretty sure they didn't even tell Benicio del Toro what was underneath the clothes. I mean, he knew it was going to be gruesome. His fucking face is genuine. I swear to you. He lifts up the cloth and it's like, oh, what the fuck? It's like he forgot, completely he was in a movie. Yeah. He was just like, oh, seriously, dudes, come on.
Or maybe they
it'd be like if he put his shoe on and there was just a turd in there. Just total disgust, completely just surprised.
Or
it's
maybe
you shouldn't look at that, Benicio del Toro. No, I must see it. And then,
or maybe
so gross.
When they clipped away, what they actually had under that sheet was a bunch of pictures of hard dicks or something like that. so he looks up and all the cameramen and shit are just giggling from behind the scenes, and so he picks up, he's like, "Oh, god damn it! You got me again!
What the fuck? You guys are literally shooting right now. We're wasting film stock so that you can fuck with me."
You know what's shooting? Those hard dicks.
Yeah, in those pictures that are printed out and put all over the horror cloth.
For the 1000th time, why none of us could ever make a movie.
Shit.
So, but like I was saying, don't fucking mask one of the best practical effect horror designers ever. Right, with bullshit CGI, especially when obviously you have a monster budget.
I can see sometimes where it's okay, maybe we don't have the budget for it, or maybe we don't have the time to shoot those kinds of practical effects, or the time to manufacture them. That's all well and good, but that argument only holds any kind of credence with me if it's a kind of a special effect that can sometimes be pulled off better as CGI, or with more dynamic situations happening. There is nothing better than that fucking transformation in American Werewolf in London.
It
fantastic. Holds up 100%. There's nothing about it that I'd be like, oh, that's kind of dated looking. No, it's fucking amazing looking. It looks like a guy turning into a goddamn werewolf.
Yeah.
His bone structure popping and everything.
Yeah.
Ew.
Yeah, and that was one of my issues with this movie was that almost the entire transformation was CGI.
Well, like you said, there's no excuse for it.
Right.
Not here, there's no goddamn excuse.
Well,
it just didn't feel like it.
One thing that really bothered me was when Benicio del Toro had turned and he was chasing people as the werewolf. I don't know why they did this, but he kept going into that, like, the bounding chase after him, but then halfway through the bounding chase, he'd get up and start running like a man again, but then would start bounding again after that, and it's like, why? We know he's a wolf man.
Yeah.
It's like you don't have to show the wolf running on two legs, because first of all, you've shown him running on four legs, and he doesn't look silly. Right. He looks real silly running on two legs after he's been running on four.
I just wanted to I wanted to play the Benny Hill theme during that part. When he's like running after his victims and shit. I'm expecting him to run behind a tree, and then somebody else to run from another tree, and then
he'll run behind another tree, a third tree entirely.
And eventually they're chasing him.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Or there's two wolfmen chasing each other. It's just like, come on.
It's like, how did you get here?
Like, I just didn't understand that. And that went back to the CGI at that point. I mean, actually, I think that part was a little bit more practical because he got up from his, like, running on all fours and started running on two legs, but then he did, like, a crazy X-Men circus rope jump after that point, which was, there's no smooth transition between the two.
Okay, so just to be clear, Rick Baker, the only reason he's really involved in this is for marketing reasons.
Well, right. I'm sure he
can put his name on the
movie. Would say he probably did the makeup because
but it's so fucking buried. Wasn't even fucking matter.
I agree. But there were very small parts where it was like you could just see Benicio del Toro in the makeup, and he looked fantastic. Like that end when you had the super werewolf fight between him and Anthony Hopkins. You had two teen wolves fighting each other at that point. There were parts of that looked really good. The Anthony Hopkins makeup looked way less good than the Benicio del Toro makeup, because Anthony Hopkins just looked like Harry and the Hendersons at that point, who I think Rick Baker may have done fucking the costume.
I think he did.
What if they just fucking used that as a model or like brought it out?
That'd be great. And that Benny Hill part. Then Harry starts running out from behind the trees and shit.
Yeah.
But that's the biggest thing that bothered me. Like, I didn't mind the story at all. Like, the first half of the movie I thought was less good than the second half. I thought the second half of the movie picked up really well.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, as far as, like, tons of things happening, the second half of the movie is where all the action is at, which is what you're waiting for. And a movie that's 2.5 hours long, you get kind of bored waiting for that to happen.
Yeah. Now, the brutality of it was awesome. It shouldn't
have been as long as it was.
Yeah.
And I think there's several scenes they could have cut, but I don't understand why they don't cut more scenes. I don't. There must be a fucking reason, because obviously they're not doing it so people will be more likely to watch the movie. People watch movies that are shorter, obviously.
I love the brutality of the movie, though. There's some awesome death scenes, like when the werewolf shoves his claws up through that dude's chin and it comes out his face,
straight Wolverine style.
Yeah, and then he fucking pulls his jaw off, basically pulling him into the.
I see you rip a man's jawbone off.
As far as the Universal remakes, this is probably one of the better ones.
It's definitely.
And just for me personally, I knew that I was out of it whenever they had the fucking werewolf battle.
Yeah.
Because that fucking, like, killed the movie.
It's not better than Dracula, I don't think. Bram Stoker's? No.
You have not watched it recently.
I've watched it in the last couple of years. And
watch it again.
I still think it's... The only thing that kills that movie for me is Keanu Reeves, but we will get to that.
What about his fucking ass head? His ass head from the very fucking first scene.
We'll get to that not next week. We'll get to that this month. But...
His ass head.
But that was, going back to the special effects, that bothered me again with this movie, is because when you had the brutality parts... It switched from practical, badass-looking, like, deaths to shitty CGI.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to have, like, kind of the very brutal stuff doesn't mix with, like, the very, like, crouching dragon, hidden tiger.
Like, people springing around, don't look like real people.
Those don't really mix. I mean, those movies are not really gory.
Right.
They're more, just like high fantasy.
Artsy.
Yeah.
Right. But my complaint is don't have a scene where you gut somebody's intestines out and it's practical and they're all over the place and it looks awesome, and then do the exact same thing in the next scene, and it's fucking CGI. I would rather them just show that fucking scene over again.
What if they just shot for shot, same fucking scene, even the same actor, and you just obviously see
you just have a camera on the other side.
That's what I'm saying. Just use it from the other side, and like just cut off the head, head halfway.
Just cut off the head.
Yeah, like halfway from the camera.
I know what you're saying.
Show it from the back, and then it's like blah or whatever, and you're like, whoa, that looked badass again.
You'd be able to tell it was the same.
I don't care. It's still better than assy
CGI.
CGI.
On how close they are.
I agree.
CGI blood is just never a good thing for me. Like
they just can't make it look not super fake. It's gonna look fake. There's not a damn thing you can do.
Somewhere around the year 1999, people thought that blood was black.
Yeah.
And it's been black ever since. And I don't fucking like it. I prefer fucking Mario Bava paint.
Yeah.
I'd rather see that fucking fake
Pepto-Bismol.
real blood. I mean, it's like blood-colored paint.
Right.
I'd rather see that than black water.
Well, at least this movie, they mask it a little bit, like, with it being at night and, like, out in the woods and stuff like that, where you're not gonna...
Yeah,
the main light is the moonlight, and you just kind of see the, like, shadow of the bloody shit go everywhere, rather than just...
That's just a complaint in general. Because
that might have happened. That might have been, like, a MPAA thing. Like, they might have just been like, look, there's too much blood. If you want a decent rating, you're gonna have to, It's sort of like whenever, like in Kill Bill, whenever they have like the main scene where everyone's getting slaughtered, it goes straight to black and white because it's like there's they've already had 200 gallons of blood in this movie, and it's like they literally reached the limit of how much they were allowed to have.
Like for me, one of the worst parts of that special effects part in this movie was the doctor that had been just like completely torturing his ass for all those months that he was in the insane asylum or whatever. And so you're thinking, okay, well, this death is going to be awesome. And he just ends up throwing him out a window, and then CGI doctor just falls on some spikes, and then that's it. And I'm just like, well, he really got even with that guy that had been torturing him for months. Like, I would
have chewed off his legs and just left him to die.
Yeah, or chewed off his legs and then beaten him to death with his legs.
These are all great ideas for murdering your worst enemy. But you have to also realize that Benicio del Toro, while he probably hated this guy, probably didn't look at him as a straight-up villain. Because even though that is completely horrific, all the things that he did to him, like, by our standards, these are things that were actually done to people in insane asylums. And they were like, treated as, like, normal shit that you do to crazy people.
I don't know that he didn't see that, because the whole time he was just begging for him to stop, and basically right before that just looked at everybody in that room and was just like, yeah, I'm going to murder everyone in this room tonight. Everyone. Yeah. Which he didn't.
No, I mean, he fucking hated him. But I'm just saying, like, I don't know if he really thought this guy needs to be tortured to death. Which is what we think looking back at it, because it's, once again, this isn't, 1999 or 2010 or any of these. Right. It's fucking 1891, and they have no fucking clue how to treat mental illness at all.
That part bothered me a lot, too, because whenever he broke free from his restraints and everybody started running for the doors were pull doors, and they all just started crashing against him.
Yeah, all these fucking psychiatrists, and they're like, you're not smart enough to know this door pulls? You've walked through it probably a million times.
And, like, it gets to the point where rather than just pulling it to get out, they just break through the fucking door after like 100 of them are smashed up against it or whatever.
Well, I mean, once you're past like the first a few deep, you can't say, hey, back up everybody, I need to pull these out.
Hey, guy on the very end that's probably about to get slaughtered. Back up a little bit, back into that room where that monster is.
I think if I'm at that point, if I'm at the front of the door and I know that it's a pull door, I'm punching motherfuckers in the face and saying, I'm opening this goddamn door.
Right, well, I mean, if there's like 25 people behind you pushing, you can't really fight them. The problem is that they should have fucking known better from the begin with.
We didn't see it, but what if it was labeled the wrong way as a psychological trick?
Yeah.
It's like the pull doors are labeled push.
Or so that whenever
keep the crazies out.
Yeah, so the crazies can't escape because they can't fathom a universe where it would actually be for pulling.
I can't figure it out.
Another part that bothered me was when the dude was still giving his lecture and Benicio del Toro was breaking out of the chair. And he was like, "Wah! Wah!" Like just roaring behind him, and everybody's standing up and pointing, and this guy's like, no. They're like, doctor, monster behind you. And he's just like, the thing is, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, really?
Well, that's just a trope. And they think they have to put it in. Like,
that's Samuel Jackson getting eaten in half by a shark.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
Yeah, it's just the same fucking thing that they put in. It's the same as Mayer syndrome. They have to put it in.
I just hate it so much because it's like so unrealistic. If something is roaring behind me, you bet I'm going to continue to keep my back to it and look as straight forward and ignore everyone that is
if you
getting up
hear
and screaming.
any noise at all behind you, let alone a roar from someone threatening to eat you 4 seconds ago, you would obviously turn around and look at him.
Yeah.
It's so silly.
So let's get to the werewolf battle, where we kind of mentioned a little bit. These...
It breaks the movie.
It does break the movie. Like...
Well, something we didn't really get to. The reason they're having a werewolf battle is even though Anthony Hopkins has been locking himself away for however many years since his wife was murdered by him, he now has decided, all bets are off, I'm just going to be a werewolf to fuck with anybody. Yeah. I'm just going to kill everybody. He kills Sing. Sing is like fucking gutted and just put on display at the house.
Right.
And apparently he fucking tampered with the silver bullets years ago so they wouldn't fire.
Right.
So that's fucked up. So, yeah, battle ensues between Wolfman and Wolf Boy.
And a whole bunch of circus ropes.
Yeah. very a lot of circus ropes.
And that was another
very
thing.
Silly, like... I think the creators like built this up in their head. They're like, "Oh, this is going to be the ultimate Wolfman versus Wolfman. They're going to break the whole fucking house and everything. It's going to be so brutal." And really, it just turned out to be like Steven was saying earlier, just way too many attempts to mix practical effects and CGI in a non-believable way. And also, yeah, it was just
it was Michael J. Fox versus Jason Bateman.
Yeah, there you go.
And their shitty
Who
monkey
do you think
team.
would win that?
Michael J. Fox.
Naked in a pit?
Jason Bateman, Team Wolf, is awful. He's got a bubbly head and he looks like a monkey.
But he had a violent sport as his.
He was a boxer. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say he was already kind of a violent dude.
It's true, but there wasn't a penis in that movie.
Penis?
Yeah, there was a penis in the first movie.
Oh yeah.
So silly.
How does that get by editing?
What do you mean how?
The penis.
You have to really be looking for that.
It's way in the background.
It's so good though.
Dude, nobody noticed it for like 30 years.
It's so funny though. Whenever that guy stands up and there's just a cock.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd probably be able to see it pretty easily if you were at a theater.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't think you would ever notice it because you have to be watching a video with a magnifying glass. It's like, is that a dick?
Is that a dick or 2 extra pixels?
Or maybe he has his thumb out of his fly.
Yeah.
You ever seen somebody do that? Being an asshole.
Hey.
One thing I didn't...
It looks like my thumb is my cock.
I have a thumb-sized cock.
Yeah.
Or me.
One thing that was a little bit... I won't say
Quite
cliche, I guess, because this is a remake of the original, but is the recognition... And it goes back to me loving American Werewolf in London so fucking much, because the end of that movie, the love interest is like, it's me! It's me, don't do anything! You know what I mean?
And he's like, fuck you, I'll kill you anyway.
Yeah, just...
Because I'm a fucking werewolf.
Exactly.
I've been killing people this whole time.
Not caring who.
Yeah.
And his fucking father ripped his goddamn mom's throat out, or whatever the hell, and killed his son. So you know that there's pretty much no emotion or morality that these werewolves feel.
Yeah.
And so at the end they just decided to throw in, oh well, they're going to give him a little bit of...
He's better than his old man.
Right, they're going to give him a little bit of morality before she fucking shoots him in the heart.
Oh, dude, that's the writer coming through. It's like, if I were a werewolf, I'd be better than my old man. Exactly. Damn it, Dad!
Because my dad beat me for getting C's on my report card.
Well, now who lost, Dad?
Yeah, I'm going to make me burn him with lit cigarettes, too.
What the fuck?
But I just didn't like that. To me, the werewolves should be way more feral.
That's another Hollywood trope. We had to put it in because it's in it at the end of every movie. The bad guy or the good guy can't possibly really be bad deep down. He's really a good guy. It's like he is a good guy when he's not a fucking monster eating people.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of. It seems like we do have a hard time with portraying dualistic characters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That are on very hard sides of right and wrong.
Right. But
the guy who doesn't kill people and the guy who does.
But in the end, he has to come out good in some way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Fucking bullshit.
Except in American Werewolf in London, where
it was a way better ending.
Yeah, where he's just like,
they're just like, all right, everybody shoot him.
Yeah, he's a fucking monster.
Yeah.
You had to kill him.
And he was a giant monster, and there were 100 people with automatic weapons.
And it wasn't any bullshit with him turning back into a human, and he's like, thank you for killing me. It's just, okay, crazy beast in the streets just dead. I mean, that's what it came to, you know?
Well, he does change after that.
Yeah, I was going to say, he transforms back into a man, and he has all these bloody blood.
Yeah, but he's clearly dead. He's not like...
Yeah, I mean,
he's not like...
He's not like, thank you, I needed that.
Yeah, there wasn't
I didn't want to kill anybody else, because I'm really a good man deep down.
That's what I mean. There was no bullshit.
There was no... Exactly, from the end of this movie.
I never wanted to hurt anybody.
So good. So fucking good. But once again, just shit that they fucking slap on because they know that audiences will fucking jerk off to it.
Yeah.
Because they have 100 times before, and they will 100 more times. So, they know that that's going to happen. And one thing that I do have to say is that the love interest in this movie was developed at least a little bit.
Yeah.
Some people showed emotion about each other. It wasn't just,
well, it was way more reasoning.
I was engaged earlier today before I met you. But now that I got into a slight quarrel with my fiancé at a gypsy fair, it's time that I got divorced from him, or got broken up from him, and go out with you and devote myself entirely to you.
There was much more reasoning for her to like this character, right?
One thing I was really surprised... Go ahead.
No, you're fine.
One thing I was really surprised about in the remake is gypsies still look like assholes. I thought they would have changed that.
Yeah, that was pretty funny in the original, too. They were just like, there's a werewolf in camp. Well, see ya.
Bye. I think we've about touched up on everything we want to with these two.
Both very, very watchable. The second one's a bit long, and there's some total Hollywood bullshit going on. But
if you like brutality.
Overall, it's a good movie. And also, if you just want to see Benicio del Toro extremely shocked by a corpse, I was never convinced more of someone being acting than that.
Pictures of dicks, man. Yep. That's what he was seeing.
His fucking face, though. Like, you need to post a screenshot of that face.
I will.
he makes a face like, oh, holy shit!
If you want to listen to other werewolf podcasts, we have podcast The Monster Squad.
Oh, yeah?
A very much same makeup in that movie.
Well, I love the makeup in the movie.
They definitely are hearkening back to the
Wolfman.
Yeah, exactly.
The Universal
Wolfman specifically.
Well, he also has
wearing the same fucking jumpsuit and everything. It's like they can't get away from that damn jumpsuit.
Also, we podcasted American Werewolf in London and The Lesser in Paris.
The Lesser. Don't even just pretend like we never even talked about that movie. That movie does not exist. Do not watch it. Fuck that movie.
And we also
they bungee jump at the end off the Empire or off the
Statue of Liberty.
Statue of Liberty, which you cannot do.
Yeah, don't watch it, Dean Don't do it. And we also did both Teen Wolf movies, so we've actually explored.
We've done quite a lot of werewolves and wolf transformations,
and I'm sure we will probably get.
We'll do more.
Get to the Howling.
Yeah, we got
the Howling is it's one of them. Probably one of the more notable ones you haven't done.
Dog Soldiers is really good too. That's another one of my favorite.
Even though it's a super silly name.
Oh, it is. But the werewolves are super, super like unconventional. Like they are completely their own, and they're like
they don't even look like wolves.
I mean, they look like giant men.
Really more like chickens.
They look like giant men with manes and huge wolves and giant claws, and they just disembowel people through the entire movie.
Did either one of you ever see Wolfman?
No, I've seen Wolf with Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, Wolf is not too bad.
No,
and but Wolfman, it's a early '80s movie where it's like there's a Native American tribe that turns into werewolves, and somehow they've been like hiding in the city of New York. And it's pretty fucking weird.
So it's Teenage Mutant Ninja Werewolves.
Yeah. They fight crime only at night, and their master Splinter
Master Sphincter.
Yeah, exactly.
This is well before any of those Ninja Turtles.
Any of those turtles of the ninja variety.
Well, if you want to find us on Twitter, you can follow us at MPM Podcasts, or you can follow us personally. I'm at Rosie for Boston.
I'm at Radioactive Suit.
And at Unitedcypher.
Yeah.
For automated posts.
Yep.
Mostly things from our site and things from the other podcasts that set up the Public Domain Movie Podcast, where it just takes movies straight from archive.org, because those are supposedly all in the public domain, so I'm not going to check any further. And it puts them onto my iPod, because I just set it up for me, but I put it in
nice
in the iTunes store because I couldn't get it to work.
So you basically made Apple an accessory after the fact, but
yeah.
If these indeed are not public domain, but that's okay. Fuck them.
Yep. You can find us on Facebook as well as iTunes, where you can subscribe to all of our podcasts. You can rate and review us on there. Give us a nice little review. Yeah.
Yeah. A little review.
Also, check us out on Unitedcypher.com, where you can stream or download our episodes for free. Also, check us out on Tumblr and YouTube. Check out some podcasts that we listen to. Nerdonomy, Nerds on Film, and Nerds on History, as well as Return of the Living Podcast, as well as Girls with Issues, Unitedcypher Presents, and Talks with Games. Did I miss any guys? Talks over games?
Talks with Games. We're just sitting down right now with Donkey Kong.
Way better, D-Hart. Way better.
It just pans the lip. It's basically just between two ferns.
Good.
But with Donkey Kong.
Check out Empire Comics as well as FiveFingerKeys.com for awesome goods and services. We will see you next time. I'm your host, Stephen the Roast Rosenberg.
Bill the Kill Collins.
And D-Hart.
And let's do a howl.
Well,
touch with the ground. I'm on the hunt. I'm after you. Smell like a sound. I'm lost in a crowd. And I'm hungry like the wolf. Straddle the line. Discord and rhyme. I'm on the hunt. I'm after you. Mouth is alive. Juice is like wine. And I'm hungry like the wolf.